February 15th at 6 a.m. after I was doing extensive prayer. I have this vision of hell and the people that reside in there. I seen a massive fire, then it zoomed in. So many people were in there, it was uncountable, and they were glowing hot, just like the flames. They screamed nonstop. One particular soul was pulled out, like pulled up from the flames and like up before me. And I was feeling bad for all these people because then I not only was looking at him, I was looking at all the people. They had no clothes on either. None, these type of people. I was feeling really bad, and God pulled back. And even in hell, this person was violent. He tried to rip me apart. We are not to feel sorry for them ever. They are the same as they were on earth. People in hell never ever wanted to change or find God. Then the scene changed. I'm in a house where people are living in large groups. I knew it was a place that we had found to live in. About 20 people, some I knew and some I didn't. Before I continue on, if you can't deal with descriptions of things, I'm doing a disclaimer, then you shouldn't watch this video because I'm going to describe some things that are kind of horrendous. I knew in this house that we went and we found it and that we are all living in there, and everyone seemed at high alert at all times. We did. Then a giant man comes in and it started to unalive people. I knew these came from our government labs they created. Scene changes. People are living in malls with much fear. There is little to no food, but people are sharing. I see a giant come out of nowhere. People were screaming, "What is it?" It caught them by surprise. I'm now with the people in the dream experiencing this. No one had a clue where they came from. It was 1 story tall, and the people's screams were horrifying. I ran in a utility closet, and before I went in it, it grabbed a person and removed their head off of their body and their arm and started eating it. The knowledge came to me that our government created these below ground and sent them out on purpose. This was all planned. I was hiding in the closet, and 3 other people came in with me. I hid under a tarp. The giant was a male. It ripped them apart because it knew we were in the closet. It ripped them apart with ease. I thought it didn't know I was left in there. It can read your mind and everyone's minds to find you, just like demons do. It grabbed me. I was like a small dog compared to this giant. It grabbed me with such strength. I couldn't get away. I knew my life was over. It ripped me apart and eat me. And the scene changes. I'm in what used to be public type of buildings. These people all had creepy eyes. God has been showing me in many visions. These people, paranoid, creepy eyes. These people, they were barely talking at this time to one another. Then I'm placed in the dream with them. They all were curious about me, and I knew then they were hungry and hunted people for food. Then I overheard them talking about their experience after taking a mark. I got real scared. I then knew they hunted people with no mark for food and sport, and they all knew the choice they made, and they didn't want nothing ever to do with God. Then the scene changes. I'm seeing a family with a small child, and I'm listening in, and the mother makes a comment. "I'm so happy we got the mark. Now we will not starve." Then I'm in the scene. The mother says to me, "Where is your mark?" like scolding me. and the father lift up the child's shirt, and they allowed the child to receive the mark. And the man looked at me and said, if you don't have this mark, and he showed me, this was on the little girl, this mark combined together is like in one mark. It was like weird. It frightened me. So they wanted me to show mine, but I didn't have no mark. The child was 5 years old to 6 years old. God told me this child goes to hell also. The mark I see all the time is from the triangle in I group. I'm not allowed to say that name or the video will never post. I'm showing it in all forms of the triangles, like stacked on each other, made into like a star, or just a plain triangle. I'm going to tell you another note. When I was 4 years old, going in the mountains with my grandparents, I look out the window and I seen in the sky this green triangle with the eye in it. And God told me that is not God. I was 3 years old when I first experienced that. Okay, so I was showed that on the child in that manner, and I knew that they were going to kill me because I didn't have the mark. So the scene changes, but I'm going to tell you this. God cannot put an evil mark on the areas that he warned us on. This is like, well, how could God show you that? So he showed it on the little girl's like left side, and he couldn't show it on her head or on her right arm because that's of the devil. So that's how he showed me that mark on that little girl. She was so beautiful. So beautiful. And these people knew what they were doing even to their own child out of selfishness because they wanted to eat. They didn't care where their daughter's soul went. Then the scene changes. I'm back at the building with the people that took the mark. There were like 100 of them. When they found out I didn't have the mark, I was unalived by them. And they did enjoy what they did. And I was made aware that they couldn't die. Some about it that they couldn't die. And I was told the minute you take the mark of the beast, or that mark, you no longer have a soul, not even a gloom of hope with God. And that's why they become violent. They don't care. And something about it where they can't die. Prior to this warning, I was shown camps where people were displaced in 2019, a lot from Michigan, and put into strange cities. People in these camps were changing, I know. These took the mark early on. They took the mark early on at free will. They will take a man, woman, child against free will and do ungodly sexual acts to these people. If you see a person you know that has the mark early on, get away from them. They all become violent in nature of every kind of unnatural behaviors. They no longer have a soul. They are now a demon in the flesh. You truly will be able to figure it out as you know the difference between a bird or a cow. It's that telling. In Iowa is where I was shown when something happens in Michigan, and in Missouri, that's where the displaced people from Michigan will be put. Then I was shown Christians that they're going to be crucified. And I even experienced that in a dream. I was shown near Alpena, Michigan, men in full black tactical clothing, military, not of the United States military or even of a country at all, that they carried Ruger 45s, and I knew that came from Germany, and their mission was to kill as many Christians as possible. I experienced being murdered by one of them. In Michigan, near Alpena, I was imprisoned by them and was shown And I'm going to talk in code. The thing that unalives us at that time is the same thing that unalived Marie Antoinette. And it was black. And you could look that up, what our government purchased. And they came from China. When they pulled me out of my cell with a family member, they asked me to denounce Jesus. And I wouldn't denounce him. And they were using me against a family member to try to get the mark. So as I entered into the room, there were bodies piled up 4 feet or higher. I looked at my family member who was screaming, "Don't kill who I am to this person. Don't kill her." And I looked at her and said, "It won't hurt. Don't take the mark. Be like your mom. I will meet you real soon. Don't take the mark. Don't do it. Fight. They will try to force it on you too. Run." God had me watch the Holocaust and study for 25 years to prepare my mind. Here's some scripture: Revelation 9:6, Revelation 2:10, Revelation 13:16, Revelation 13:17, Jeremiah 19:9, Ezekiel 5:10. And look up where Jesus says that the giants in the Nephilim will return. Space aliens, they never could leave this planet, ever. They're hiding elsewhere. Those are demons. What I was shown by God, they can't leave the planet. No one can. You're here. You were cast out here. Where you are, that's where your whole physical being resides. And I can say, if your pastors aren't teaching you Revelations, I recommend reading Revelations out loud. You will start getting the meaning when you read it out loud. Talk to your family members. Like, if something like this happens, what will you do if you have small children and they come in there to try to take and use your small child against you? You must believe in God. Don't take the mark, and don't take the mark for your child. And it's better to be not here and in heaven, because what's going to happen after this, it's going to be a nightmare. And Revelation tells us this whole thing, even about the blackness, the darkness that is to come. So I'm just trying to warn you. I did get somewhat of a timeline. I know as of June 6, 2027, I'm still in my house watching TV. I had an open vision of that because I questioned that, well, how much time do we have? And that was this past summer. So God gives us time to get family members together and start having the conversation. It's time to have the conversation. So God bless you guys. And please warn your family members. And always know, even if you're sick at home, you're like, well, what can I do to help? Pray every day the Lord's Prayer to push it back. If America repents, maybe it won't be so hard on us, the judgment and things to come. So always remember, you are worthy to God. Even by saying a simple prayer, you stand up as like a warring angel to him. I just want you to know that. So don't feel like, oh, I can't do nothing, or, oh, I'm sick, what's going to happen to me? I've been preparing myself to go home for a long time. So I'm not to put fear on you. I'm not afraid anymore. It's just disturbing when you see like images like that.